Right now, the Telangana Chief Minister KCR has thrown his weight behind the household survey, saying that it will go ahead despite facing massive criticism from the opposition parties. Now, a new video has emerged that shows his PRO, KCR's PRO, making a startling claim. Anusha is joining us with all the details on this. Anusha, what exactly are we getting from this video?
Well, as far as the video is concerned, it seems to be quite evident what the agenda behind this particular survey is. Now, I've been speaking to a lot of residents here in Hyderabad. While at some places we're getting mixed reactions, there are a lot of people who believe that even though probably the objective of this particular survey that the government is emphasizing on is right, the way the questions are slated out in this particular survey form is not matching up with the kind of objection that the government seems to speak about. Now, sir, let me understand from you. You've already gotten your pre-survey form, which mandates what you would be presenting to the surveyors when they come. Now, what do you have to say about this particular survey? Do you believe that this survey is actually adhering to the kind of objections the government is emphasizing on?
First, it is absolutely unclear what the government wants to achieve. A mere vague statement that they want to weed out bogus ration cards. By reading this survey form, it is impossible for me to make out how they're going to do it. Which clearly begs the question, are they really trying to do something else? If so, don't we have a right to know when they're asking personal information? Second thing is, there's a lot of questions in there that they can correlate and get from other sources if they really read it to in any case. So why on earth are they making me do this one more time? And third, a really important factor that bothers me is the government seems to take people's time for granted. I mean, how can they just arbitrarily pick one Tuesday of all days and say everything has to be closed, including petrol pumps and autos and buses? I mean, this is completely intrusive and totally disruptive to people's lives. Just because they have the right to do that under whatever act would they do this? Is this how you're expecting a government to actually treat its citizens? Just use brute force to do and decree whatever you want? Well, this is completely ridiculous. They can just pick any Sunday or give people the option to turn in these forms at their leisure. I don't see the tearing hurry to finish this exactly on this one day and disrupt people's lives. My office is closed. I have meetings that have been scheduled 3 months ago. All of them are disrupted. It sounds ridiculous for me to tell my customers that, there's some survey going on and today we're closed. I mean, it doesn't make any sense to me.
But definitely, there is one word that you chose to say, that's intrusive. Now, that is also some of the reactions that I have been getting from a lot of residents in Hyderabad as well. Why today? Why a Tuesday? Why a working day when probably a week end could have made more sense? Now, we are at one of the households in Hyderabad. Ma'am, when I was discussing the entire issue with you, you were stating about how the government has another 100 ways to probably, assess the kind of property. You have to assess whether you're a beneficiary of a particular government scheme. Now, with all these questions in place, is the government even achieving its objective?
If the government's objective is to remove the bogus ration cards, this survey here does not ask for a ration card at all. It asks about unnecessary details. It intrudes into our personal space. It keeps asking things about the properties that we have, our bank details, etc. I think in the Indian democracy, nobody has a right to question any legal means of money. Banks themselves advise people not to part with their bank details. And what right has the government to ask all these questions to the residents of this place? And the other thing is, in today's world, as Indians, we are a single country, we are all Indians. So it appears that people are being distinguished on basis of some paper which has been given by some department. Which this is, my 9-year-old son asked me few years back whether we belong to Telangana or Andhra. I myself in a dilemma where I belong because I've been born and brought up here. I don't know where my roots are. Now, how do I answer all these questions? It is completely putting us in, I would say, some kind of inconvenience where nobody would want people intruding into their personal space. So I think this survey, I don't know if it is it's very objective to me in the first place, and I don't know it is really achieving the objective of what the Chief Minister is keen on.
Well, definitely. You are stating that
Okay.
you are perhaps echoing the sentiments of a lot of people here who state that they have lived in a place like Hyderabad or a place in Telangana for about 20 years, 30 years. They do not know how to answer a lot of questions that is put up in this particular survey. Another possible question is the practicality of finishing this entire survey within 12 hours. Now, this survey
Yes.
is taking place between 8 in the morning to 8 in the night. So, the question of practicality also cropping up.
All right, well, stay on with us. Let's just listen into what TRS leader Keshav Rao had to say about this survey, and we'll come back to you about how it's impacting the lives of people out there.
Today, it is my data where the people, for my affirmative action, where people need demand, I might reach out to them.
Okay.
One.
Okay.
In this reaching out, it all depends. Every policy is transparent, and every policy is part of the constitutional framework. If anything you think which is wrong, which is discrimination, can only be challenged and can be brought back. You understand that? Question of discrimination doesn't arise at all. Survey means non-discriminative. What is survey? Selective collection of information is known as discriminative. When I say survey, it means all people to be factored in. There will be the question of discrimination, so that is off. Now, the fears, why should they fear? First of all, why this issue at all?
Well, Anusha, how is this survey actually affecting the lives of people there? We do understand that a lot of public services have come to an absolute standstill. And the people you were talking to also over there really sort of talking about the fact that why should my life come to an absolute standstill today because of this forced survey?
Well, definitely. It is a complete shutdown in the state of Telangana. Now, while we spoke to a few residents earlier, they were mentioning about housewives, mentioning about how there is no milk available. Working professionals were speaking about how their offices are forcefully shut and their meetings that were probably scheduled months ago have been affected. Students have been affected. They've not been able to go to their colleges, schools, perhaps exams that were, or tests even, internal tests that were probably scheduled also disrupted. Now, let me ask from a youngster about how this particular day, this particular survey has impacted you.
Well, first things first, this survey has caused me to lose a day of college, and missing one day of classes is pretty difficult in the sense that we have only 14 weeks in a semester, and one day lost is proves to be extremely costly. And then secondly, I also would like to question the whole practicality of this survey, as you previously said. First, one thing is, how can you in 12 hours collect data from 4 crore people? And secondly, what is your quality control check? I'm quite sure there are a large number of people who are unwilling to give their personal data without ambiguity, and this is being done on a large scale by a large number of untrained people. Consequently, I would very much doubt the veracity of the data that they get.
Definitely. You've raised a very good point. Let's remember that apart from government staff, volunteers from various colleges, government-run colleges, engineering colleges, home science colleges, all have come up to conduct this particular survey. Now, one can definitely question how well they have been trained to conduct this particular survey and how safe is the information that people part with when these surveys come in. Now, I have another youngster with me who has probably missed school today because of this particular survey. Now, how has this survey affected you as a school-going student?
Well, first things first, I missed a day of school. Pretty obvious. And it's so stupid to have so many holidays, because we have so much portion for the school to complete, and we just can't finish it in such a short span of time.
Definitely. Now that is the kind of reaction coming in from people here. A lot of people inconvenienced, a lot of necessary services halted for this survey.